here waiting for our banana foster. I guess they're going to make the banana foster and the fragile crepes with the strawberries at the same time. And this is in New Orleans. This is Brennan's cooking banana foster and Fitzgerald crepes with strawberries at the same time. What they do is they saute the bananas, and then they put some vanilla sauce on it. Jeffrey's concerned about the lighter in pocket.
Oh, Jeffrey, no.
Would you like to hear some of the history behind the bananas foster?
Please.
With pleasure.
All right. Well, as y'all probably know, it was invented right here in Brennan's back in 1951 by our then head chef, Paul Lange. He's a European man that came to New Orleans back in the 30s to come study under some of the famous head chefs back in the day. And when Owen Everett Brennan decided to open the restaurant here right around 1946, he came right to Chef Lange. He had heard of him and his exploits around the city. Anyway, the dish itself was invented back in 1951, and at the time, Port of New Orleans was the #1 importer for Caribbean bananas. So much bananas were coming in that demand couldn't keep up with supply, and most of the bananas actually ended up sitting on the port and rotting. So, we had a regular customer at the time, a man by the name of Richard Foster, and he was a prominent businessman around New Orleans. And he noticed this glut of bananas coming in, saw it as an opportunity rather than a problem. So he approached Chef Lange one day and challenged him to come up with a recipe to utilize some of these bananas coming in. Well, a little tinkering around in the kitchen, a little bit of butter, brown sugar, all that good stuff. Voila, we had our bananas foster. It's not quite as we know it today. We didn't actually end up starting to flambe them until about 1971 when, as the story goes, the sous chef was in the back of the house creating a bit of bananas foster for the night's service. And he was a little hungover, he was drinking a little bit, and he accidentally spills his drink into the pan. While the alcohol hits the pan, it explodes, and after a little battle with the fire extinguisher, he tastes it, he's like, you know what, this is pretty good. So we went out, we got a bunch of garrigons, and we started flambeing bananas foster tableside. At the time, we actually used Bacardi 151 to flambe. And that, as you can imagine, created quite a bit of show, but proved to be a bit of a problem a couple years later, when in 1973, one of the waiters flambéed their bananas right underneath the air conditioning.
What happened when it flambéed near the air conditioner? The smoke went into...
So it flambéed, the flames actually got sucked up into the air conditioning duct. Lit the entire building on fire. If it wasn't for the valiant efforts of the New Orleans Fire Department, Brennan's, as we know it, would not be here today. So needless to say, after that happened, we made a few changes. Instead of Bacardi 151, we now use 80 proof white rum. And we get trained a little bit more whenever we start, before we get to start cooking the bananas foster. Anyway, fast forward to today. Bananas foster is the #1 tableside dessert in the entire country. We sell over 35,000 pounds of bananas every year in Brennan's alone. That's not to mention all the other restaurants around the French Quarter that have their own version of bananas foster. So I think it's safe to say that Mr. Richard Foster and Chef Lange had a pretty good idea going.
He said he doesn't bring them. Now.
This is at Brennan's,
They didn't
New
copyright
Orleans.
the bananas foster.
And Dan here was kind enough to tell us the history behind the Banana Foster and how they actually came up with the idea and how they're cooking it. So you could hear the history and you could hear the story behind the Banana
You don't really see
Foster.
it done right outside of the city. I've seen it a couple times outside here, but even in New Orleans, you don't see it done right a lot.
This is our
I've seen someone on a cruise
brunch.
ship, but not like this.
Yeah?
And Bananas Foster started right here, Brennan's, in New Orleans. By the way, quick tip, if you want to really enjoy brunch at Brennan's, come around 2. Don't come at 12 or 1, you will sit in line. Look at that, you see? Empty tables. Around 2 o'clock is the perfect time with your autistic person. They won't sit in line. That is the Fitzgerald crepes that he's holding, the strawberries. The bananas are still cooking.
Packed to go.
This is the Crepes Fitzgerald right here.
I went to that couple.
And he's flambeing the crepes Fitzgerald.
How long does it take training to make these?
What?
And you create this expectancy at the table, which is very exciting too. When you see your food cooked in front of you, you are expecting it and you're excited about it.
Two of us.
Yeah, he's going to.
And this is the flambeing. Oh boy.
That flares up more.
We do pyrotechnics on set. It's so cheap. Swords. Can show you that video sometime. That was fun.
And this is the Bananas Foster and Fitzgerald crepes.